I say this as someone who was really reluctant to make the investment in myself. There was a part of me that really didn't, want to spend more of our family budget on, on my own career, especially making a pivot like this. And I'm so glad that I did. I had my husband and a colleague both really strongly convinced me to take that step. And like I said, I don't know that I could have gotten to where I got to without a coach. And the whole process of clarifying what I wanted and how to get there was so helpful. I would absolutely recommend coaching and coaching with Erin to someone in a similar position. So I was in my previous field for close to 20 years. So I was in higher education. I was working in various community colleges and had really moved up from being a part-time faculty member to being in administration. And for the longest time, I just really believed I was on a very specific trajectory, felt like I knew what my next step was going to be. And I stopped feeling excited about that. I really started questioning whether that was what I wanted to do for another 10 or 20 years. And thinking about it I just really realized that I needed to explore what else might be out there for me. I was burning out. I felt like I had reached the limits of what I could accomplish, and had reached the limits of the work being meaningful for me. And then I was really struggling. I think one of the things that my field was really good at was making people think that there's nothing else you can do, that your skills aren't transferable. And I didn't think that was true, but needed help figuring out what my other options might be and where I could go from there. It was terrifying. I mean, I find job searching, even when you sort of know what you think you're doing and what your next step is already scary enough. There's so much unknown, and the fear of rejection and everything else. But I felt like I didn't even know how job searches worked outside of higher education. I really felt like I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I didn't even know how to go about looking for something else. And so it was scary, and it was not something that I really wanted to do on my own. Yeah, I really appreciated having the big, scary, big picture broken down into manageable, concrete things that I could do. That was so helpful for me to just to really start with identifying what my goals were for coaching, which I think at the easy level, it's, oh, well, I think I want to get another job, but it, broke out to a little more than that. And then really taking me through this process of thinking about my values and what's most important to me, and then connecting that to what else could be out there for me, how those skills might transfer, completely rethinking my resume and cover letters and my LinkedIn profile, all of those things, overhauling all of those things, making them better. And having someone who I had to be accountable to. I mean, I'm fairly good at holding myself accountable, but if it's just me, it's easy to procrastinate. It's easy to say, oh, there's plenty of stuff out there. I'll apply to something next week or next month. But really feeling like I wasn't just accountable to myself, but had to, report back progress to someone else, having some external accountability really, really helped me. So having the big and scary made concrete, and having someone else who wasn't just like holding my hand and walking me through this process, but who I really felt that I needed to, have some progress to report on, and who it felt good to say, oh, I submitted a job application today. Or, oh yeah, this is, feedback that I can use and work with. That was, super, super helpful. And I don't know if I would have gotten where I am without it, honestly. My outcomes were finding a new job that aligns with my values, my interests, that draws upon my previous background and experience, but is in a completely different field, completely different environment. And I am really excited and thriving in that new role. I moved into broadly the field of transportation, but I found a really cool job. I'm the training strategy manager for the Link light rail system in the Seattle area. And it's I've always been interested in and a user of public transportation. One of the things that came out from my coaching experience was that I did want to stay in the public sector, even if I didn't want to stay in higher ed. It was important to me to feel like I was still connected to certain values of mine, and that I was giving back to my community. So in a lot of ways, in terms of like level of responsibility, it's in some ways a parallel kind of role. Sort of a lateral move, kind of, but I have found that I have a lot more ownership and control of my work, and I feel able to accomplish goals that I set and strategy that I determine, and a lot of freedom and flexibility to do that I didn't feel like I had before. And the salary, about somewhere between 40 and 50% more than I was making in my previous role, which is amazing. I would absolutely recommend coaching with Erin to someone in a similar position.